Hey, how's it going guys? JaySea here, and today we have a little bit of a different video. As you guys know from a couple days ago, if you've been watching my content daily, you'll know that there was one video where I was playing in the mid lane against Ahri, and you guys wanted me to show you guys how this Kha'zix did really well. We're just going to learn maybe a thing or two about Kha'zix, because in this game he completely carried, right? So we want to find out how exactly he carried and what exactly he did to make this happen, you know. So we're going to have the op.gg runes and masteries on the screen right about now. What I want to note is that his runes and masteries are not very optimal. So I actually looked at some of the Kha'zix one tricks, and I'm going to also have on screen what I would recommend to be the optimal runes and masteries, which would most likely be AD and lethality, a mix of both, or just pure AD, which is going to be better than attack speed, since I don't think Kha'zix needs that attack speed, so this rune is not optimized in my opinion. But anyways, we're going to look and see what happens. So he started with... Do you know what's really strange is you can't mouse over these items. You can't mouse over items in replays. That's really strange. But yeah, it should say Hunter's Talisman because I just remembered. So he started Hunter's Talisman, and also he's going to start and finish the Raptor camp. So it looks like we'll just speed things up a little bit just so that we see what exactly he's going to do. So Raptors into red, and then what is he going to do? Wolves? Yep, so he does Wolves, probably blue and Gromp, and get that level 4. It really depends. Some Kha'zix would actually just go for red first, and then they'll go for wolves into blue, and they'll go for a gank, or they'll contest the river scuttle. So they'll get that earlier cheese gank, which could also work pretty well. Because Kha'zix gank is quite decent early on. So he's actually not going to go for Gromp. I'm going to say that this jungle path isn't the most optimal, but what we can tell is if he makes some good plays later on, which he will. That we know for sure. He makes some pretty good plays. I guess the timing of his gank was good. But the thing is... right, if he were to get Gromp and then go straight here, he would be level 4, and he'll have ganked Ahri at level 4 and arrive roughly the same amount of time. The only difference is there won't be any river vision. That's the thing, is Scuttle gives way less experience than Gromp. I know for sure that he'll get level 4 off of Gromp, but he only reached level 3 off of Scuttle, so I think that's a bit of a mishap, or a bit of a pathing thing, that he should have got this. It's also isolated for him, so Q would have done extra damage to Gromp. And then he goes mid, and then he paths top, so that's pretty good. Gets a lot of ganks out of the way. Oh wow, that's actually gonna go really bad for him. Get that Q off. No. Wow, that gank went really south. Oh, okay, I actually forgot to put the fog on, so I do apologize guys. We'll have the fog on from now on, just so that it feels more like a real game, like what we see from Kha'zix's point of view. So my bad on that one. Okay, so after he dies, which is very important because you want to know when someone dies, what are they going to do? If they just snowball, then they'll just keep ganking lanes non-stop, and they're walking up and just getting free kills, you know. That's just when the enemy's not paying attention, then you can just walk in for free kills and free gold, just get a free win. Most of the time that's not the case. So he's going to go down, which is smart, go down and farm all the way back to the top side, or he might gank. So we'll see. So he does Krugs, and then he's going to skip Raptors and go straight to mid lane. He has a pink ward here. Okay, very nice. Oh, also his first purchase was double longsword. So it's really annoying that I have to hold tab in order to get this item menu up, so I do apologize as well. But yeah, that was a clutch save. He just barely survived. That gank actually worked out really well, just by simply walking up. But I think I also got the slow off. Wait, I'll just check real quick, so I'll be back with you guys in just a moment. So yeah, I did get the slow off, and then that gank worked out. So very nice. And then, yeah, at least tried to chase. Didn't work out for her. Speed up. Let's see what happens next. He has Smite up in 1 second, and I guess he's going for Gromp this time. So this is the low level Gromp. He's going to go for the W, Smite, Q. So it's very standard stuff. This combo is a lot easier than, say, if you were to play Akali. My Akali game, combos are just insane, but Kha'zix is pretty straightforward. I did watch one of the one-trick Kha'zix players that was like really good at Kha'zix, right? And what I noticed is his combo is slightly different from what I imagined. So I imagine, like, I think most of you guys will also imagine this as well. This is what I thought is Kha'zix will jump in, maybe even W mid-air and then Q when he lands and then use his auto, right? So that's what I thought. But what that one-trick guy did is he would jump to someone. Say he also evolves R second, which makes him invis whenever he leaves a bush, but that's besides the point. So he jumps onto someone and mid-jump he would use his challenging smite, and then he'll opt to use his unseen predator, so his auto attack first, then he'll Q and then W. So that's the one thing that I thought was very eye-opening. That's what I was meant to say. So that was something that was slightly different from what I imagined. I think right now, as Kha'zix is farming, he'll be looking at bot lane. He'll be like, what's happening bot lane? Elise is down there, what should I do? And let's see what he does. He decides to go bot. Seeing that Elise was nearby. Okay, now we have vision that Elise is there in river. So he's setting up for a counter gank, which is perfect because Draven just went really ham for no reason. So he's going to be there for the counter gank, stealth out of bush. Get that auto, that Q, the auto again. Very nice, good counter gank. I think he forgot to smite Elise though. So that's something to note if you are, say, learning from a professional, like a really good Kha'zix one trick is what I noticed the play difference, because this guy I don't think is a one trick, but he must have made solid decisions to be able to carry this really hard. So we're going to learn off of this guy's decisions, not so much his runes and masteries, and not so much his rotations, but just more of his game knowledge and his decision making, which is actually more important, to be honest. It's more important skill than a lot of things. It will basically help you apply everything in general to all champions. So you can be superior in these sense and be really good at, you know, yeah, really good waiting there. Got a good catch. Lulu stood a bit too far up. Gonna forward this a little bit more. So he goes back. Let's check the items again. So I'm hoping that I brought up these items often enough so that you guys can see. Okay, so let's fast forward. Okay, so one thing about the build, right, is what I noticed with Kha'zix one tricks is they go for challenging smite warrior just like this. Okay, so from what I can tell, the optimal build would be you go for your warrior, challenging warrior, and then you get your boots either mobility or ninja tabbies or mercs. And then you'll go for Duskblade into Ghostblade into GA, and then either Death Stance or Steric's Cage. So that should be on the screen right now, and you guys can see that is the build that I believe is the most optimal. Also, I just did my research, did my homework, so that's what I see. He is going to go for a different build because I saw the very end of the, you know, the end score screen, and I noticed that's what his build, and compared the two just so that I'm more informed and seeing if he's going the right path. So it's ultimately you guys' decision if when you play Kha'zix, or if you do decide to play Kha'zix, what build you're going to go for. This is what I'm telling you guys, and what I recommend is to go for the one that I just had up on the screen. But you can also go for this guy's build. It obviously works in, you know, some games or maybe all the games, I don't know. But he does go for Black Cleaver, which is a very old school kind of build. But it could still work. And I do see some Kha'zix players still go for that quite early. So he'll go for Duskblade, I think, and then he'll go for Black Cleaver if memory serves correctly. Oh, that's very nice. That's a good catch. I can see that bot lane's dominating quite well, so it enabled Kha'zix to just walk in and get all of that. He wants to greed for that first blood tower. Oh my god, that is... Get another gank off at mid. That charm. Didn't dodge it, but jumped in for it anyway. I guess by the time he landed, the charm already faded, so that was good flash by Tryndamere. Yours truly. Pick up that kill. Oh, gets destroyed. Let's just have a look at that again. Was there any time to react? Not really. Not really. So that wasn't Kha'zix's fault. Although if he had some next level awareness, like challenger level awareness, maybe he would be like, Elise could be nearby. I just saw him wherever, or saw her nearby, so I mean, but you know, that's beyond the scope of us, so we'll just leave it at that. That he got jumped and wasn't much to be done there. Couldn't catch Elise. So Kha'zix is back. Let's look at his new items. So now he's going for lethality. So I'm pretty sure this is going to turn into a Dusk Blade, and then he's going to build Black Cleaver next. So we'll see. Goes into jungle, farms up. So we can see that he has this whole bot side and top side except for blue all up. Let's see if he's going to farm or he's going to respawn. So it looks like he's choosing to respawn. This is where the big plays come in. Auto Q, W. So generally what I see is he's going to use his auto, his Unseen Predator first, and then Q, and then W. Just because your Unseen Predator is your auto attack, right? But it's from your passive. So whenever you're out of vision, you'll get a bonus, like an empowered auto attack for your next hit. And once that happens, then, you know, you do a lot of damage and you slow them. The whole point is you want to use your auto attack first, and then you want to use your Q because your Q is longer range. And then you want to use your W last because that's the super long range. When they already flash away, you can still hit them with W. So you want to always go for that in that order whenever you get to someone. You want to use your auto first, then your Q, then your W. So that's only, you know, the most optimal situation. Obviously, there are times where you jump on them and then you can't order them, so you just Q right away and W. But yeah, you always want to make sure you're challenging Smite mid-jump, so that when you do land and when you do get that Unseen Predator auto... Oh my god, Unseen Threat auto, my bad. I just have to make sure, because I was thinking, hey, maybe I said the passive name wrong, but yeah, Unseen Threat, make sure you get that off, and then you'll have your challenging Smite burn damage. You also take less damage while you're jumping to them, and then you'll go for your Q and W. So that's basically the entire combo, and there's no variation to it. The only thing is, I see that there was this one trick, Kha'zix, that was going for evolving Q, and then he evolves ult, and that has a lot of outplay potential. And every bush you go through, you'll stealth for 3 seconds, and that's super long, because he would... Let's just watch this and see if anything happens first, and then I'll tell you what happens with the other Kha'zix that I've watched. Okay, so he backs away. That was not a good use of Rift Herald, I feel. They're all defending it there. So he takes blue. His whole jungle's already taken. Draven takes top. That's fine. So what I noticed here is he tends to prioritize going to lanes over farm. So if there's farm to be taken, he would just finish his camp and then go straight to a lane and hope for the best. So, I mean, that could work, I guess, and it actually worked out, so he is able to snowball because of this. And let's just look at his farm. 57 at 16 minutes, so it's very, very low farm, and because he's been prioritizing ganking, and they've been successful, but also Elise has been quite successful too, 7-2. Let's look at this mess of a fight, see what Kha'zix does. Do I survive? Yes, I do. That Lulu flash though. Kha'zix goes back in. Nope. Okay. Fakes them out. But ults in and then W's. That was a very unneeded risk. Just because, say if he walked up and Lulu had a polymorph, or like Riven flashed over and, you know, W'd. Not that she had flash up, but it's pretty close. So, you know, they're just unnecessary risk. We just missed that. So let's have a look real quick what happened. That was 15 seconds ago. He was all the way over there. And then 15 seconds later, he jumps in, just Q and lands on just squish. So he didn't even need to use his auto first, which is fine. That's like what you do when you want to do some quick burst. But if you want to get your whole damage rotation out, you want to use your auto first. So if you want maximum damage, but if you just want like to finish them off, then just jump on them and Q. And it actually makes sense, right? If you jump on them and then you Q, then your Unseen Threat will just be very slow. Your auto will just come after your Q animation, so that's really slow. If you jump on them and then you use your Unseen Threat right away, your Q is pretty instant anyway, so you'll cancel your auto animation with a Q. That's why it makes a lot of sense to do that, guys. It looks like he evolved W second, which is very common. This is probably what I expected. I expect most Kha'zix to go for Q and then W. That's what I've seen in my ranked games. So it's very rare to see them evolve R second, but I see it and it actually worked out really well from what I've seen. So that was a different replay. But just letting you guys know that it is a possibility. So there he just jumped, he just E'd over and Q'd right away. Didn't use his auto, which is fine. But that's because he's relatively fed right now. He has his Darkest Blade, so that's pretty disgusting. I mean, to me, that's a pretty nasty item, you know? It enables people to one-shot others, and that's just not fair. But having 63 farm is really bad for this timing. As a jungler, I'd say you need at least 100. Just guessing here, but it is the reason why he has so many kills is because he's been roaming a lot. But say, for example, if he was to do all these gank heavy plays and they don't work out, say he dies instead. Like maybe this time he only died like once or twice in all these ganks. Say if like 2 more of these ganks failed, so he will probably lose a few kills and there will be up 2 more deaths. He's going to be way behind. And it's going to be very hard to come back into the game, so it's not as guaranteed. But if you were to keep farming on the way and then go to a lane, then keep farming on the way, go to the next lane, you're always guaranteed to be strong and you're always guaranteed to be relevant. But I guess it also depends if your champion is a scaling champion or if it's an early game. And I guess Kha'zix is pretty early game, pretty snowbally, so I'd say this playstyle fits his carving decent. But it could backfire is what I'm saying. With his playstyle, I feel like, yeah. Okay, this was really bad of me. Like, I think I just got tilted because I was back pinging them and then they just stood there. And it was no excuse for me to get caught anyway, but I did get caught, so I was a complete monkey for doing that. But I did get tilted. In my defense, I got tilted because I was pinging them back and they just didn't move. And I knew that it was coming because Riven walked through a bunch of wards over here, and then she just simply walked up to my team and just, yeah, got a combo off. Riven combo is pretty insane as well. It was a good try to kill Elise, but it was a very long shot. And I think Baron would have been taken anyway. He'll be risking way too much. Even if it went 1-for-1, I don't know if it was worth. But I don't think he was getting out of that alive. So what I noticed with his playstyle is taking a lot of risks. It could be good, it could be bad, but it's very snowbally if it works out. And in this case it worked out. Or in this game it worked out. Not in this case, not this specific one. So he respawns and goes straight to Wolves. Into blue. Okay, he sees Elise, like we see Elise because we're using his vision. So he finishes off that camp with... looks like Maokai's dead, don't go in. Oh, he goes in anyway? Awesome, actually. Because he has that damage potential and he's really fed, he can get away with that. If he wasn't fed, he can't one-shot Elise in that combo. Riven will go over and stun him and he'd be pretty screwed. So it's good that he was fed and he was able to pull that play off. So now we see a mid lane fight. See if he goes for it. Is he gonna go for a TP target? Riven's pretty annoying. TP'd in, so he backs away. I'd say that's the right call. Oh, okay, Ahri misses Charm. That could have gone really bad for Kha'zix if she landed it. Uh-oh. Okay, so yeah. That's exactly what would have happened if Ahri landed Charm for the first time, but except he just went back in. Not very smart play, to be honest. Is he going for... Okay, he went for Hex Drinker. That's very interesting. So, Hex Drinker because I guess there's Elise and Ahri. I mean, yeah, it's a decent pick. I reckon Hex Drinker is pretty strong anyway. That's a dead Xayah. Alright. So let's see what happens to Kha'zix next. We're just focusing purely on Kha'zix. Okay, so right now his whole jungle is completely wiped clean. Raptors just spawned, so he's going to pick that up and he might just donate red to Raven, which he does. They start to invade and... Oh my god. Oh my god. He survived? That is so lucky. That angle for the Q was just slightly off. If Ahri landed it here, this way, would have killed Kha'zix 100%. That was just a narrow escape because he's really fed, really ahead, so he's able to survive with that sliver of health. So yeah, I was just baiting out because my ult was coming up. don't know why the cooldown doesn't seem as accurate because I'm pressing alt right now, like right about here. See, I press alt. That replay is so off. If you guys see at the bottom left corner, if you rewind it just a little bit, it'll show that my alt was on a 20-second cooldown, which was not true. It was actually just up by like 2 or 3 seconds. So I do remember this moment very vividly. So replays are not accurate with the cooldowns, guys, even though I mean, I didn't really mess around with Tryndamere's cooldowns in this replay, like by selecting him and going back and forth, but I did rewind this clip, so maybe that's why. Is he gonna get out? No. Okay, so everyone disperses, that's fine. See, look at enemy's vision, right? I think Maokai gives away his position like this, so we know that Maokai's here. Like, from the enemy point of view, but that's just what I thought was kind of silly. But then again, oh wow. Anyway, this is confusing me because I'm looking at two sides. So let's go and look at Kha'zix when he respawns. Okay, enemy gets dragon, and now the next one's going to be earth. And let's see what he buys. So from what I can tell, he went for warrior into Duskblade into Hex Drinker, and then he went for Black Cleaver. That was a Q, auto, W. Although I do advise going for the auto first and then Qing. Just so that it's like maximum DPS basically. Because your auto attack has to wait for your Q animation to finish, but if it was vice versa, your Q does not have to wait for your auto animation to finish, if that makes sense, guys. So always use your unseen threat first if you can. It will be the most optimal in terms of damage output. So yeah, that fight just went really well. Kha'zix just stood at the back and just hit whoever he could, so he's doing really well. I mean, he has 12 kills, so he's already really snowballed. And I guess that's the beauty of this kind of champion. Like, you can be really gank heavy, and if you succeed, you'll do really well. If you fail at these ganks, then you'll fall really far behind and be completely useless. So. Okay, very nice. He didn't use his Q? Hold on a sec, hold on a sec. Did he use his Q when he jumped onto Xayah? Okay, so what's interesting to note is when he jumps over, he uses Q here and then his auto here. But do you guys see how that auto and Thunderlords? The auto just does so much more damage because of Duskblade. That item is just so busted. And well, W slow is just brutal as well. But you guys can see that your unseen threat is so much more damage than your Q. An isolated Q at that. Also, what I noticed is that he was able to get his Q off mid-jump. So there was no actual animation for his Q. So that way when he landed, he could use his unseen threat right away. So that's a very interesting mechanic. But I think if, say, you were max range jumping, then you would want to use your unseen threat first, and then you use your Q. But if you're short distance jumping, say if they were a lot closer than your jump range, then you can use your Q mid-air, and then when you land, you can use your unseen threat. So that's something I just realized just now, so I'm hoping that you guys probably learned a thing or two. Maybe not the Kha'zix mains out there, but people that are getting to learn Kha'zix, getting to know that champion, would now know this little quirk or this little mechanic. So that's something interesting to note. If you're short jumping, you can use your Q mid-air. If you're long jumping, you'd probably want to get your unseen threat first, and then Q. That way there will be no animation when you land. There'll be no Q animation, and that won't stop your auto attack. But yeah, that's a pretty disgusting amount of damage from unseen threat onto Xayah. That's pretty nasty. We're going to see more of that soon. So it evolves E next. And that's going to give him a lot of resets, but I feel like it's very unnecessary now just because his E the distance got buffed by a lot. Wow, Riven barely took any damage. What does she have? Death Stance. Very nice. I feel like I should start maining Kha'zix again. I used to play Kha'zix back when he was sort of OP, like I think his... Yeah, that was just insane damage, but I'm not going to replay that because we've already seen enough of that. I used to main Kha'zix when he built Mana Mune. I think Froggen was the one that started doing that. I think it was Froggen, but he went for Mana Mune into Randuin's, and that was just so OP because that card, like this build for Kha'zix, just he wouldn't run out of mana. He did a lot of damage, and he's a tank, so you just jump around killing everybody. It was pretty nice. It was fun time. And that was back when people played Kha'zix mid as well. So back then I was playing Kha'zix top. That was a very long time ago as well. I had quite a few main champions. But most of those were just, you know, in Diamond 5. I was really just getting to Diamond 5 with Kha'zix. Before that, I think I was playing Jax and I was in Plat. And then Fiora also in Plat, but that was the old Fiora, so... Just a little bit of a history, nothing too important, but just a random tangent. So yeah, what's Kha'zix at? 16 kills and 5. He needs to carry this next team fight really hard because his team doesn't have many kills and this Maokai is like pretty questionable, but you know. We'll see. Potential fight happening. What does Kha'zix do? I mean, this is Kha'zix's items. He just upgraded more. W's, E, and Q's in with the auto. But he does it to the tanky Riven. Riven's just so tanky because she's been fed by Maokai, and yeah, that unseen threat, insane damage, just one-shots. One-shots Xayah. I think he'll do a lot more damage with Ghostblade against this team comp. The only one that's super tanky is, unfortunately, Riven. Like, Riven can eat up Kha'zix's damage. Mainly because she's fed, but also because Death Stance is just busted. And Draven damage. See, Draven's going for the IE build, so pretty nice. But yeah, nice. I think that was a nice short and sweet video for you guys. Just highlighting exactly what Kha'zix did because you guys asked that. You guys wanted to see how he carried and like what happened. So I'm just showing you guys what happened and this is my commentary over it. I might have some captions at the very end just so that, well, I might have some captions during the video just so that, you know, illustrates things better, or maybe there's some things I picked up that I missed while I was editing. So that is the game, guys. Thank you so much for watching to the very end. Hope you guys learned a thing or two and I'll see you all in the next video. Cheers.